For our ways to multiply demonstration, we're going to show you the same problem, 913 times 825, with two different methods. The first we're going to show is the lattice method, and then we're going to show you Napier's bones. And then between those two, hopefully you'll be able to see some similarities and some differences in how they are used and how the problem is done. So the lattice method is one you've probably seen before. I know in today's elementary schools, a lot of teachers are teaching the lattice method as one of the methods that they use for multiplication. So the way that that works is, however many digits are in each of your numbers, that's the number of rows and columns that you need. So if I'm doing a 3-digit number times a 3-digit number, I need a 3 by 3 table. So you can just draw a square, 3 columns, and 3 rows. I'm going to write my numbers in. So I'll have 913 times 825. And then you need to draw diagonals from the bottom left corner to the top right corner of each box. And notice it doesn't have to be anything super fancy because my lines aren't very straight. My boxes aren't really the same size, but it still works. So the way the lattice method works is the first thing you have to do is multiply each column by each row and put the first digit above the diagonal, the second digit below the diagonal. So for example, 9 times 8 is 72. 1 times 8 is 8, so you put 0, 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And you continue that for the rest of your numbers. And then the rest of it really comes down to addition. So the only multiplication you really do in this method is multiplying your factors in the beginning. From there, it helps if you extend these out a little bit because that's going to separate the digits in your answer. You start with your bottom right corner. So I'm going to start, and anything kind of in this diagonal stays together. So 5 is all by itself, so that digit's going to give me a 5. Then I'm going to add these together. So 6 plus 1 plus 5 is 12. I'm going to write the 2, and then I just kind of carry that 1 to the next diagonal. 4 plus 2 plus 5 plus 1 gives me another 12. 4, 8, 8, 2, and 1 gives me 23. 2, 2, and 1 gives me 5. And then that 7 is the last thing that I have there. So my answer to 825 times 913, starting from here, ending with your ones digit over here, is 753,225. The second method that I'm going to show you is Napier's bones. If you went through the Google slide presentation, you probably saw some pictures. Typically, Napier's bones is a set of manipulatives, of rods made of wood or of stone that you can actually pick up and move to use when you're multiplying. This is just a paper version. This first column is called the index, so that's where your numbers 1 through 9 are. And then these columns are called your bones. So that's what they would actually pick up and use when doing their multiplication. So we're going to do the same problem, 913 times 825. And I highlighted the certain rows and columns that are important to us. So the 9, 1, and 3 for 913, the 8, 2, and 5 for 825. Now, obviously, it's easier if I really could pick this up and move it around. So I went ahead and cut out the parts of the Napier's bone set that are important to me. So I have my 8, 2, 5 columns in order. And then I have my 9, 1, 3 rows just highlighted. So you can see that those are the ones that we're going to use. What happens from here is it actually is something that looks like the lattice method. I'm just going to redraw each of these rows just so that I can write and it's a little bit more clear. So I have 0, 8, 0, 2, 0, 5. I have 2, 4, 0, 6, 1, 5. And I have 7, 2, 1, 8, 4, 5. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and compute some product or some number that comes out of each one of these boxes. So I'm just going to start with my ones digit. I'll start with the 3. And this is going to work a lot like the lattice method did. So I'm going to take each diagonal and add. So I get 5, 7, 4, 2. I'll go up to my 1. I get 5, 2, 8, 0. And I'll go down to my 9. I get 5, 12, 4, 7. Now the last step actually involves addition. And if you think back to our traditional way of multiplying, at the very end, you add up those columns of numbers that you got from each step of multiplication. So what I'm going to do is take my answer from my ones digit, which was the 3, and I'm going to write 2,475. Then I'm going to add a 0. Then I'm going to take my next number, which was 825. Then I'm going to add 2 zeros and write my last number, which was 7,425. My last step then is to add, and I should end up with the same thing I got from the lattice method. So I get 5, 12, carry the 1, 12, carry the 1, 13, carry the 1, 5, and 7. So I get 753,225.